What's up, Rebelscum? Well, I wanted to fit in one more retrospective before Comic-Con, and this one I'm really excited about. We did our big bit on filling out the barge. Well, now I'm going to show you the Cantina. We have had a lot of different aliens and smugglers and all sorts of different characters over the years that have been part of that Cantina. A lot of them have never been reproduced after their original running. So I'm going to show you a whole mix of what is out there now that you could fill your Cantina with that is fairly accurate to the scene in the movie. First, what we're going to be using as our base is the 1997 Power of the Force 2 Mos Eisley Cantina mail-away. This was $7 at the time. In 1998, there was another Power of the Force 2. It was the same exact Cantina, but it came with a sand trooper who had one of those little droids on his shoulder. That was the first production of that from the special edition. The packaging looked like this here. So essentially the same cardboard base. It was these great 3D diorama. They only made two of these that actually went into production. One was the Mos Eisley Cantina, and the other one was Jabba's Palace, which I still use as a base for Jabba's Palace to this day because we have not had anything else until the fall release this year of Jabba's Palace, Jabba's Throne Room, or Bib Fortuna's Throne Room, or Boba Fett's Throne Room, whatever we're calling it now. So that, until then, for the last 30 years, has been the only release of Jabba's Palace. There was a third one. I talked about this during our mini battles of Hoth. It was an unproduced Echo-based 3D diorama. Never made production, but they did have samples of it that was featured in the Sears catalog for their holiday sale. So I don't have the package for the, actually, you know what? I do have the package for the original 1997 mail-away. This was it. This was the package. It came in this little sleeve here, and once you opened it, the Cantina was folded up inside, and on the back, you got the instructions on how to assemble it. That was really it. I did dig this out. I was surprised I still have it, but I have the box for the newer version. I can't remember where I put it, but I showed you the photo there. So basically, this is going to be our foundation for the Cantina. I haven't got into the world of 3D printing to make my own. I try to use pretty much what has been produced out there for a lot of things and repurpose those. I know there's a crowdfund right now for some Cantina sort of 3D print or some kind of production that you can look at, but there has been no official Cantina yet. HasLab, hopefully at some point in the future. They could make a Jabba's Throne Room when you get half a Cantina at least with the full bar and some tables. But anyway, let's hop in, check them out, and I'll bring out my trusty laser pointer and we'll point to all the different characters and I'll give you a little background on those characters.
So I divided my Cantina up into a couple quadrants. This is what I'm going to call the left quadrant, or the left side of the bar, just the way we're facing it. And I'm going to start in the way back here with this guy. This is the Blue Snaggletooth from the 2004 original trilogy collection. It was a Mos Eisley Cantina screen scene, and that retailed for around $19.99. I believe that was a Kmart exclusive at the time. This came with a couple figures, it came with some bar parts, it came with cups, it came with everything. Fun thing about Blue Snaggletooth is he was never meant to exist. He was a production still given to Kenner from Lucasfilm, and they didn't have any coloring on the guy, so they made him blue when he was supposed to be red. So it was just a black and white photo they were going off of. But he's become such a fun part of collectors' collections ever since that original release in that Sears mail, or the, I don't know if it was a mail away or Series exclusive Cantina Adventure where he was in some of the sets. He's become a collector's item in the original Star Wars. You could see him in busts and in statues now. So he's kind of everywhere and he's become a big part of Star Wars. I wanted to throw him in there even though he wasn't really in that scene. So he's just fun. You can grab him from that set. Next up, from 1998, we have the Power of the Force 2 Tequil from the Cantina Aliens 3-pack, which also retailed for $19.99. Now, Tequil here is a little different than the Snaggletooth counterpart. You can see just a little bit different features. He also has sort of this different garb on him. Now, there were multiple aliens that look very similar to Tequil in the Cantina. I counted at least two in that scene. So I have him here, and I'll show you another Snaggletooth later on that looks very similar, but just a little variety since there were two of them. I threw him in there as well. Next to him, you can see this little spaceman here. Now, this is from 2002. This is Boshek from the Power of the Jedi collection. One of my favorite lines. He retailed for $5.99. Now, I have him here with the helmet on because there was just a random spaceman walking through the cantina. However, his suit was yellow. So much like Bosk's suit, exactly a lot like Bosk's suit. You notice the design, the straps, everything, very similar to what they ended up using for Bosk in Empire Strikes Back. So I can't paint him, but here he is with the helmet on. Just makes him a different spaceman walking through the cantina, and you will see Boshek later on. Don't worry, I will have everyone here explained. In the front here, this little short guy that was chirping in the movie is Cabe. Now, there were two versions of him. There is the 1998 Power of the Force Cabe and Muftak 2-pack, but this version here is from the 2006 Saga collection, Cabe and Nabrian Leeds. Which is aptly timed because right next to him is Nabrian Leeds in his silver decor on a repaint from an older figure. So the two of these came out, I believe they were Walmart exclusive, this 2-pack, but there's two different aliens with 4 arms, same species in the cantina. So you'll see him twice here in my display. And since one was a repaint and the other one was a different color, I just kept them both that way, and that way they're two separate characters essentially. But great way to bring them both into the line if you wanted to, but there were multiple of the same alien, so you could see a lot of these guys pop up a lot here. Moving on, and this is where the names get tougher. I'm going to start in the back here, and this is the 2007 30th anniversary Miyum Onita. It was $6.99. Kind of looks like an elephant. It's got this little elephant snout to him, so I kind of call him Elephant Man. But although there was an Elephant Man later on, but maybe more like a anteater or something. But you can see him here. He comes from that 30th anniversary line. They had some great figures in that line, a lot of aliens for the Cantina in that line as well. So you see a couple guys from the 30th anniversary line here. For example, right in front of him, right here, in the nice looking scarf, we have Ellis Hellrot, also from 2007 in that 30th anniversary line, also retailing for $6.99. And I like to call this guy Ghostface, and you can see why. He's got this kind of like ghostly face on him, and he won't stand on his own. Kind of weird head to him as well. Unique character. The sad thing is about a lot of these, they only produced them once and never made them again. So if you didn't get them on the lines when they came out, you're kind of out of luck. You have to pick them up on the secondary market. The last companion here in the back, and that is from the 2005 original trilogy collection, and that's Feltapern Treveg, also retailed $6.99. This guy's kind of bit of a goat head on him, so he doesn't have a nickname, but kind of got these weird little horns, that nice face on him, but he's kind of a goat headish. So that's this character here. Also kind of has like goat arms. So this was they were all at this table together, so I kind of kept them all together, so that kind of worked out perfectly. I used just one of the ends here of the table from the many bar sets you get by purchasing the multi-packs, so that's where you can get these. Of course, you could always 3D print your own. I'm not big on customization myself. 2001 now, we're heading back to the Power of the Jedi collection for the Fan's Choice figure. Ellers Maddock, right over here, retailed for $5.99. Now, there were two of these guys talking to each other in the movie, so all I did is I just got two of them and made them talk to each other. He is the most alien-looking alien, like our classic kind of big eyes, green skin kind of alien, but he became a Fan's Choice figure, and they made him especially one of those early polls there. So I got the two of them here dialoguing with each other. And then right in front of them, right here from the 2009 Legacy Collection, I got Lee Sub Shirla. She was retailing for $7.99. I kind of give her the nickname Brain Girl. She's got this pink look to it and this weird dome egg head here. You will see a Brainiac later on, who's more of a guy brain. That Legacy Collection had some interesting characters, sculpts. They were all very lean, very trim, very thin figures. So that you'll see that sort of reminiscent here throughout some of the other Legacy Collection characters. But that is the background there. Moving on to the foreground, we got this table of fun fellows here, and I want to start out over here with Muftak from that 1998 Power of the Force 2, Muftak and Cabe 2-pack I talked about. Now, Muftak is This was, I believe this was a internet exclusive, yes, and it retailed for around $12.99. They only made them in that Power of the Force 2-pack, never again. There was a Jedi of the same species that came out, but this was it. He's huge. I'm not taking him out of here because it really took me a lot to wedge him in there. He takes up a lot of real estate there in that bench, but you saw him there in the photo of the packaging. That's basically it. This was the only chance to get him. You have to dig him out on the secondary market, but I don't think it's too crazy. If you were to purchase him, probably get him for about $15, maybe $20 at the most. The Power of the Force 2 did not do well over the years in terms of holding that value. Next to him, I have a 1997 Cantina band member from the Power of the Force 2 collection. This was $9.99 in the fan channel exclusive. We got many versions of these over the years. Basically, there is a Bith in a beige shirt. They did not make one in a beige shirt sitting at this booth here, so I just threw him in there, just a basic Bith. So didn't want to spend more money on a fancy one to throw in the booth, so I just used one of my old Cantina band members there. Next, moving on, we have the 2002 Saga Dodges Pure right here in the front. You can see the back of his head. He retailed for $4.99. Kind of a unique character. He's got this all black head. He kind of looks like Blue Man Group, but black instead. His facial expression in the character here. Unique character. He had these dual blasters, and they had blast effects in that line that you could add onto the characters. I did not add him on here because he's just chilling out, having a drink with his friends. But yeah, that was a big feature of that line. It was weird, but it existed. Moving on, and last but not least, 2005 Original Trilogy Collection. We have Mio here for $6.99 on original retail. And this guy, well, I just nicknamed him Cyclops because he's got one eye. So really interesting character. A lot of detail on there, particularly on the coloring on the face and the hair. So it was a fun little sculpt. But yeah, he rounded out this table. This was all 4 guys at this table in the scene from the film. So you could build out that whole table there. I think this was the whole table here. So not a lot of characters were missing from this side of the cantina. There were a couple characters that floated around. I think the other side is still missing a couple, but we'll check it out when we get there. So let's move on to the foreground of this left side next. All right, checking out the front of the bar here, or the front left side, as I'm going to label this quadrant. We're going to start with this guy right here, and that's Han Solo from the 2004 Original Trilogy Collection. This was the Vintage Collection precursor at the time. These were really sort of the best you could get out there, the ultimate version of these characters. They had maximum articulation, maximum detail, and kind of kicked off way before we had photoreal on the face. So these were pretty good likenesses of the characters. These were only $9, $9.99 at the time. I know they're almost $20 now for these figures, but I don't think they've done a New Hope version of Han Solo. And there he goes. A New Hope version of Han Solo yet. So all the versions you see of him are either have the Stormtrooper belt or some other aspect of him, but not this Cantina version I'm referring to here. So I just use this guy. He could use whoever you want. Next, over here from 2002, we have Greedo, and this Greedo is from the Walmart exclusive with the bar and the Saga collection. It was $9.99. There was another Rodan in the Cantina. This one basically just didn't have a jacket, just same flight suit though. So I just threw any old Greedo in here. You could use whoever you want, but I purchased the bar set here. This is the bar base, and I just didn't want to waste them, so I just threw him in there. Since I only need Greedo without the vest on, you could use any Greedo. In front of him, we have from 1998, the Nabaran Leeds Cantina Aliens 3-pack in Power of the Force 2. He was $19.99 for this 3-pack. He also came with Tequila over there. And you could see this is pretty similar to the other one here. It's just the other one's a repaint. Since there were 2 of these species in the Cantina, I just went with this guy so he could have a little bit distinction between the 2. He could be his own character. I don't know the name of that character, but that basically allows you to use 2 of them in the scene, and I think it just works out great that way. Next over here at this table, we have the Snaggletooth from the 2012 Vintage Collection. Villain Set 3-pack. Came with Boba Fett and a Tusken Raider. $24.99 for that at the time. And this is just sort of the ultimate version of the Snaggletooth. So you'll see he's distinctively different, but very similar to Tequila over here that I showed you before. Now, there were 2 of these guys in the scene, both kind of slightly different garb, so I decided to leave the 2 of these in here separately. One was at the bar, one was over in the forefront. You could see him at a table. So kind of distinctive without customizing to have these two in the set here, so I just decided to leave them. Last but not least, I made his drinking partner, Mos Eisley here. He was from the 2015 Black Series. I believe that was the blue card TIE Fighter. And he retailed for $12.99. He was in the scene with Jabba the Hutt when he found found Han rather in a special edition, but he was also in the Cantina. So I threw him here in his little red outfit. So in Return of the Jedi, he makes another appearance, but he has a blue outfit. We don't have that version of him yet. Hopefully we'll get him at some point in the future. Fun fact about Mos Eisley, in the original Marvel Comics run, he was Jabba the Hutt. Marvel didn't know at the time, so they just went with this character as being Jabba the Hutt. Several issues that way, a lot of face-offs with Han. When Return of the Jedi came around, they had to retcon him, and they just said, well, that's a moniker that Jabba lets people use when they're representing him. And I'm like, that's great, but Han referred to him as Jabba the Hutt multiple times, and Han would know better, so it just seems kind of weird to retcon him that way. Anyway, that is the front left quadrant of the Cantina. Let's head over to the center now and check out who is at the front of the bar. All right, well, we're going to have a lot of guys here at the front of the bar to check out, so bear with me here. We're going to start over here at the bar proper with this guy over here. I believe he's a Trandoshan, and that is going to be from the 2009 Legacy Collection, and that's Harchek Kalthas, and he was $7.99 at the time. You can see here his little features that make him very similar to Bosk. So yeah, this dude, pretty cool. Only one run on him, so if you kind of missed him, you missed him. Like I said, all those characters in that Legacy Collection are a little bit thinner than the other characters, and you could tell here a little bit slimmer profile. Next to him, of course, very important character, very unique character featured in Tales from Mos Eisley, and that was the 2005 original trilogy collection, Danik Jericho. He retailed for $6.99. He has his little pipe that he was smoking in the scene, and he actually has these little tendrils that you could put on his face too that come out, but very distinctive, very awesome looking character. They did a great job with this guy here. Yeah, and next to him, of course, were the twins, which they have never made and said never will make because they can't get the rights to those characters. So kind of missing out on those. Over here in the forefront, you can see the droid detector. That was from the 2000 Power of the Force 2 collection. This was toward the end of the run of Power of the Force 2. And it came with Wur, the bartender. And he was a fan club exclusive, $12.99 at the time. And you got this awesome little droid detector. I think that might have been the only time we ever gotten it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it might have came with something else, but that was basically it. So I just put it right here, imagining that this is the front door. And I think from the orientation of the way the Cantina is laid out, this is about accurate. It was across from the bar. Yeah, I think that was the only way you could get that. I'm not sure. Maybe it might have came with a reissue of him. I'm not sure. So next to him here, we have the most recent run of Momau Noden, or Nadan, from the 2006 Saga Collection, $6.99. And yeah, this has been the best version of this guy so far. You can see him here, this Ithorian, with his nice, more humble look to him than the previous versions with the giant vest, and he's got his hood on and everything. So yeah, this has been the best version of this character so far. Kind of an essential ever since the original collection this guy has been produced. So he's a pretty big, important piece. He came, you'll see I have these little tables around the Cantina I'm using. He came with this little table as well. So I use it for other characters, but they came with this little table. And it's a nice little table to just create a little bit of sort of depth in the Cantina. So you'll see those around the Cantina. I have a couple of them. There's other characters that came with it as well. I don't think I mentioned. I'll see if I can throw it in later on in this segment. I'm not going back. So next to him, you have the 2008. This was the Legacy Collection, and then this is Trinto Duaba. Forgive me for the mispronunciation there. And he was $7.99 at the time. He came in a 2-pack, and I'll show you his compatriot in a moment. But I call him Scarf Man. He had this big scarf around here with this really ugly face. But yeah, another essential character that they never reproduced. So if you missed him, that was pretty much it. He was a one and done as well. So that's all I have at that table. Those two were kind of drinking buddies. Over here, I have another 2008 Legacy Collection figure, and it's Wyoslia, and he was $7.99. And this guy was the guy that bought the land speeder from Luke Skywalker. I think, according to the database, he was in the Cantina. before behind the land speeder or something, but I threw him in here either way. He's a very unique, distinct character. Great job on that. Really captured that bug-eyed face of his and that nice soft goods robe. So I threw him in here as well, not at a table, but just kind of there for the background. Now, in the special edition, we got this guy came into the Cantina, was added in there. So again, that awesome Power of the Jedi collection in 2001. This is Ketwall for $5.99. He has, I think he has these robotic legs underneath. I can't remember, but you can see him here. There's another nice elephant face with these tusks on him. And this was a great character, only offered once. And I think, as I recall, they took another character out. I think they edited out Lax Shervik and put Ketwall in. But I just threw Ketwall in here. I kept everybody in. I didn't want to take anyone out of the equation. But next to him, over here, we have Dice Ibagon, $7.99. 2008 Legacy Collection. And this is the one that came with the Scarf Man I showed you before, the Trinto there. And this is the one with the weird, like, grabby face, kind of slug-like character. Very, very cool, very distinct figure here. So they never reproduced him again. This was a one-and-done sort of deal, but he came in that nice 2-pack. So over in the back here, I have, this is from the Saga Collection in 2006, and this is Labria for $6.99, the sort of the devil-looking character. Now, he came originally in that Cantina Aliens 3-pack, but a less good, not as good colored version of him. So I decided to use this version of him that came from that Saga Collection instead, and I think he's a much better detailed figure. But basically, he was over here with these guys at this table in that scene, and that's why I have them all set up over there. So in front of that, over here, I have Zutton, or the smaller snaggletooth looking dude from the 2001 Power of the Jedi collection. You're gonna hear that a lot of love for the Cantina from that collection. $5.99 at the time, and he came with a little glass here and not many other accessories. But yeah, just a shorter looking version of that blue snaggletooth that I showed you from earlier. But his name is Zutton, so he's a little distinctively different. And I have him at that Moma Nodin table there. And then in front of them, and there are a lot of these guys throughout the Cantina. I think I saw at least 2, so I have 2 of them at a table. And these are Jawas. I used the 1996 Power of the Force 2 Jawas here. Those were $4.99 for the 2 of them at the time. And you see they're with a table from Han Jurgen, which I'll go over in a little bit. And yeah, I just went with the Power of the Force 2 version, I believe, because honestly, I used all the other Jawas for my my purchase of the Droids display, and I didn't want to have to buy more Jawas. You, of course, can buy the more recent Vintage Collection Jawa and a couple of those if you want and throw those in there instead. But I just went with what I had handy because they're just kind of filling in the background at this point. So that's basically it for my front right quadrant here. Let's check out the more interesting side of the bar, which is going to be the right side with some fan favorite characters. So the right side of the bar is the more happening side, so there's going to be quite a few here to go over. I'll try to keep them in focus, and I'll try to keep them at a place where you can see them all. I'm going to start off in the front here, one of my favorite, the guy who's got the death sentence in many systems, and that's going to be Dr. Evison from the 2012 Vintage Collection VC57, only retailed for $9.99 at the time. Best version of this character so far. We've seen versions all the way back to the Power Force 2 collection, where he came in that great 3-pack, which was recently made into a Black Series pack, so fan favorite one there. Next to him, of course, we have his trusty companion, that'd be Ponda Baba, and that's from the 2011 Vintage Collection VC70, $8.99. So this guy had a whole assortment of hands, so he had the hands with the covers on them, the non-covered furry hands. He had the arm that you could cut off, so he had a lot going on with him. Great character, one of my favorites here in that amazing orange jacket. Next to him, you have the true Boshek. We showed you him originally on the other side from that 2002 Power of the Jedi line. So I have him without his helmet on here because he is not pretending to be a spaceman. He's pretending to be, well, he is Boshek right here. So here he is with the helmet off. He doesn't want to stand today, but there you go. So Boshek, a little more Boshek without the helmet in this scene. And of course, next to him, everyone knows this guy, and this is going to be Chewbacca. So I went with the 2019 Vintage Collection VC-141 Chewbacca from A New Hope. He retailed for was it $12.99, I think, at the time. So he was the New Hope designated version of Chewbacca. I like to update these as time goes on, so replacing outdated ones with newer figures just to keep the whole scene up to date with the best version of the character, or the best versions of themselves. So I had a previous Chewbacca in there, I can't even remember right now, but there's been so many versions of Chewbacca, it's kind of dealer's choice what you want to do with them. In the front here, serving everybody, I have the 2004 Original Trilogy Collection Whir. This came in a Kmart Screen Scene 3-pack. He was $19.99. This was a new sculpt for Whir. Originally, we got him in I told you about that fan channel exclusive, and in that original version, he had the cup sort of mounted into his hand. It was molded in, so he couldn't give it out. So they took the same figure, just gave it some more weathering and a little bit better of a repaint on this character, but he's the same one, essentially, and we haven't had a version since. Would love to get a vintage collection version. I don't know where it is on Hasbro's list, but we definitely need one. So also in that pack you saw in that photo was the Kidka. I don't know if I'm saying that right. So he was in that pack, and he is not easy to get out of here. Let me see if I can maneuver him out around Chewbacca, but they're kind of locked onto each other. So basically, this character was from a canceled pack that was originally in the Saga line, where they had all these bar series figures, and he was in the second wave, and we never got the issuance of him, or her, I think, rather, it's a female. So this is that unique kind of praying mantis character, so I'm glad they brought it back in that Kmart release, because I wasn't going to pay secondary market prices for it. But that is that character. I'll get her out of the way here so we got some more room. Next up, in the back here, we have Lak Shervik. Now, he's from the Power of the Force 2 collection, all the way back to 1998 for $5.99 he retailed originally. I think he was taken out in the special edition, I can't remember, and then put back in one of the subsequent versions. But you can see here, he's got this Wolfman look to him. He's supposedly a rebel pilot or a spy or something like that. And he was only made in that Power of the Force 2 collection. Never again did he return. Kind of sad that you missed out on him and you never get a chance to get him again. So in the back, his companions at this table here, we got right here, we got from the 2008 Legacy Collection, that's Pons Limbak, $7.99 original retail price, and he is known as Brainiac, is his sort of moniker, because he has this brain head, so it's very obvious here. So I pointed out the other one before, the Pink Girl. This is way more of a Brainiac looking character. So yeah, again, he was unique to that line. If you never got him, you missed out. I'm sorry. So a lot of these they only did once, and they don't like to do aliens or background aliens a whole lot. So we may see him again in the future, a re-release. I have no idea. Sitting next to him right here, we have the 2011 Vintage Collection VC53 Bomb Vimdia for $8.99 original retail. He kind of reminds me of the Boris the Butcher character, or just Boris from Men in Black 3. He's got those weird, really dark eyes, a lot of spikes on him. But he was a fun character too. They did him in the Vintage Collection, so he's one of our more recent background aliens we got. So you should still be able to track him down somewhere for not too crazy a price. I don't know, I haven't checked recently. And then moving on in front here, we have the 2006 Saga Collection, Hem Dazin, for $5.99. He also came with that table, the table right here that I was using for the Jawas, so a little bit more fun. This guy, you saw his head pop up in the scene right when they walk into the Cantina. He's got that E.T. looking wide head. Really fun character they did in there. Got some nice layering with these bandoliers on top there. So he's kind of an essential character to have in your Cantina. So I got him there, and I think he was in front of that table too, as I recall. And then last but not least, we got poor Greedo over here in the corner. I went with the 2006 Saga Collection, Proto Vintage Collection subline, and he was $9.99 at the time. He's got that soft goods vest on him. Look at his vest right here. This is one of the better versions of Greedo out there. And yeah, I went with the premium Greedo for my Greedo over here, creeping in the corner, keeping his eye on Han Solo across the way. So that is basically the right side of the bar. Let's move on to one of my favorite parts here, the band. All right, we reached the end of our characters, and I wanted to go out on a high note, go out with the band, which is my favorite here. It kind of makes the cantina, makes the scene. These are from the 2023 Vintage Collection, the Moto Nodes pack for $89.99. You can still get these on Pulse. So basically, they got it right. There were 7 band members here. They got all their different instruments, so you could assemble them any way you want, or you could go for the screen accurate version. I use the Star Wars data bank for which instruments that they should be playing. And then you sort of see the first iteration of some of these instruments with the latest line. Originally back in the Power of the Force 2 collection, we got the Cantina band member, and it came with most of these instruments. He did not have a version of the Omnibox that was on a stand. This one is the first time we've seen that. And then this is the first time we've seen the drums. Like, we never had the drums before. So this was the first time we finally got all the instruments in their accurate version, which is great. Because really needed it to fill this out. Now, you're wondering, like, what am I using as a stage? Because you see these two things right here. Well, these are the 2007 30th Anniversary Collection Cantina band member sets. Each one of these came as a Walt Disney World exclusive. This was from Star Wars Weekends back in 2007. And these were $14.95 per figure. And they came with these great basses that lit up and played a little song. Let me see if I could get it synced up in stereo for you right now. Sacrificed the band member, but I got it. You can see that little blue light emanating there onto the characters. Really helps make the scene work. And I got the song playing in stereo because I got 2 of them. You need at least 2 here to get the full stage effect because there's so many of these guys. But basically, best version of these characters to date. And they really make it. I'm not going to get them to stand. They really just make it the scene here to have these guys. Hopefully, if we ever get a playset, they'll build a stage for these guys with some kind of music. But yeah, I mean, if you want a little music in your display, try to dig out some of these guys off eBay. I have no idea what they go for right now, but they really bring the scene to life and give a little stage for your guys. I think with 2, as you can see here, I fit all of them on it. So you should only need 2. If you want to get 3, go for it, but it's kind of hard to sync up 3. So with 2, you could do it quite easily. So that is the end of me showing you the characters here. I'll give you a quick look at what's outside my cantina, and then we'll do a little wrap up. All right, on their way into the cantina, I got Luke, Obi-Wan, and the droids getting stopped at that checkpoint. Used a mixture of Vintage Collection, Legacy Collection characters. Got all the stormtroopers, or I'm sorry, sand troopers. Or there are stormtroopers, but they're just not in the shot here. You can see the unique weapons that you only got from some things like that Legacy Collection dewback came with this unique rifle that one of them had. And then, of course, I got all of them in that scene positioned how they were. You'll see a lot of unique droids that were from all different series here that were in the Tatooine marketplace as well, and that Ronto they only made once in the Power of the Force 2 collection. And then I've got my dewback back there with some more Jawas that were in that scene. You can even see Womp Rat way in the back with that weird droid from the special edition. So just create a little ambiance because the cardboard set does have the front of the cantina along with some other buildings and Mos Eisley there. So I thought it'd be fun not to just box the inside of the cantina, but the outside as well. So that's basically, if you want to create a little bit more atmosphere, that this cardboard set allows you to sort of create a little street scene as well.
All right, well, thank you for taking that journey with me. I know that was a lot of data being thrown at you, but fortunately, you could just rewind, pause, play if you need to get one of the characters' names, figure series, whatever you need. It's all there. So that scene was basically taken directly from the film, the way I had the figures arranged for when Luke walks into the cantina and sort of surveys the whole area there, except for Obi-Wan being at the bar at the time. So I sort of did it as the moment everything was before the characters sort of changed the scene. Don't worry, the laser pointer will return because I got one more segment like this. I've been promising you for a while now that we will do a Jabba's Palace segment, filling out Jabba's Palace. The scene I chose was the dancer scene with the musical number, which I think is the most vibrant scene before everything kind of gets disrupted by Luke or by Leia in her Bouch disguise. So I have that kind of scene set up. I'm just waiting for the Jabba's throne room to come out so we can do the best version of that, basically. So tune back in the fall for that. But this is all for right now. I hope that was informative. I love the Cantina. I'm hoping we get a HasLab at some point, or a general release like they did with the Boba Fett's throne room, if that's what they're calling it. But it would be nice to at least have a half Cantina portion with a bar and a couple of nooks and a stage for the band, and then we could fill that out with these great characters. Because we have a lot of characters, as you can see to date, just no place to put them. So it would be nice to have a place to display these guys. I know there's crowdfunding for off-brand cantinas or whatnot, but it'd be nice to have something official with some lighting in it and some other features. We got that crate set for 2 years ago, I believe, for the Black Series with the Cantina bar piece, and then the Obi-Wan and the Dr. Evazan and Ponda Baba. So in the 6-inch series, we kind of got that scale, but we haven't had anything like that in the 375 series. So hopefully we get that at some point. It would be great. But the cardboard one is a good substitute for now, whether you're using the original or the Power of the Force 2 version with the figure. You could probably score those probably not too crazy on eBay. I don't want to guess at prices. But they're a great foundation for building out your bar, or if you're useful with a 3D printer, go for it. I'm sure you can find the files online for how to make a full-size Cantina bar. If you have the patience and can do all the lighting and painting, go for it. But that is our sort of look at all the characters that have been out so far, and you can see there's quite a bit, but we still need more. So hopefully Hasbro will keep producing more background aliens, and they'll reproduce some of those previous ones that we haven't gotten in a long time, to allow people to fill out the Cantina. Usually a HasLab would start that. We'll see those characters come back in some way, shape, or form. So that's all for this time. We're heading off with the rest of the team to Comic-Con. So you'll see me there checking out what's new from Hasbro, what's new from Diamond Select Toys, what's new from a lot of producers in the world of Star Wars. And if you turn over to our partner site, Cool Toy Review, you'll be seeing what's new from Marvel, Transformers, Indiana Jones, and everything else. You can see behind me, I've been busy covering a lot of Turtles and other things right now, so you can head over to cooltoyreview.com and check out all those videos on our YouTube channel as well. Covering from all angles here, but from the world of Star Wars, we'll be seeing you soon for some great reveals, and hopefully you enjoyed our SDCC exclusive look at some Beast Kingdom products that we brought to you earlier. But keep turning back for more Jumbo news, more Hasbro news, more Star Wars news. Like, subscribe, and follow. Always something new on Rebelscum every day. So until next time, stay vigilant, you Rebel Scum.